of the World Series. Walker Buehler on the mound, the Game 3 winner, and gets Alex Verdugo swinging, and the Dodgers win the World Series. No team had ever come back from down 5 runs in a clinching game. The LA Dodgers just did that, something we had never seen before. The Yankees had a 5-0 lead in the 5th inning. It evaporated. The Yankees were 48-0 with a 5-run lead this season. Now they're 48-1, and the season is over for the Yankees, and the celebration just beginning for Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers. Aaron Judge homered in this game, his first World Series homer. It didn't end up factoring into the final decision as Walker Buehler comes on in the 9th and closes it out as the Dodgers win their 8th World Series title. 2nd in 5 seasons, their first World Series title in a full season since 1988. Garrett Cole was awesome in this game. It all got spoiled in the 5th inning when the Yankees absolutely had a meltdown. Back here with the cavalcade of stars, former Mets manager Bobby Valentine, former Marlins president David Samson. He won a World Series with the Marlins in 2003, celebrated inside Yankee Stadium, as are the Dodgers right now. We have to go back to the 5th inning because that's where this game was decided. We had never seen an inning like this in the World Series. I cannot remember the meltdown, Bobby. Your initial reaction to that inning and how basically the Yankees choked this away.
Yeah, before the game, I said they were going to win this game unless they would shot themselves in the foot. Well, they shot both feet and shot their head off, too. It was the worst inning I've ever seen. They just gave this game to the Dodgers, and they have no one to blame but themselves.
Here's the bottom line. When you are the Yankees going into a game, you're up 5. We heard Dave Roberts interviewed during the game saying, listen, I'm going with my high leverage guys. We've got a lot of outs left to go to get these 5 runs. He was not punting this game the way he did yesterday. And all of a sudden, the door gets opened by an error by Judge, and all of a sudden, the Yankees do unravel. But the biggest play, of course, was Rizzo. There's a ground ball, and Cole does not cover first. All compliments go to Cole for what he did on the mound, but he was not there when it mattered, when they could have gotten out of the 5th inning still leading 5-0. And all of a sudden you turn around, it's a 5-run 5th, and after that the air came completely out of Yankee Stadium, and they end up losing the game.
And now let's welcome in 2013 World Series champion Will Middlebrooks. Will in the wall. I'm going to recap the 5th inning. Kike Hernandez single. Tommy Edman into center. Aaron Judge drops a routine fly ball. Will Smith with a fielder's choice, a bad throw to third. Gavin Lux strikes out. Ohtani strikes out on a knuckle curve. Betts to first on the misplay by Rizzo. 1 run scores. Freeman, a 2 RBI single to make it 5-3. Teoscar, a 2-run double to make it 5-5. Muncy walks. Kike grounds out. They batted around. Yes, it was ridiculous. It was unacceptable, Will. It was one of the worst half innings I have ever seen in my life.
You know what? It's amazing how important fundamental baseball is on the biggest stage at the pinnacle of the sport. The best players in the world not being able to complete fundamental plays. And we talked about this early in the series. The small things, right? Doing the small things right. It may not win you this series, but it sure as heck can lose it for you. And you got a pure example of that today. Just simply taking your eyes off a soft liner in center. Volpe made the right play by going to third. He just made a terrible throw by not getting his body in the right position and being all upper body. And then the play at first with Garrett Cole. If you've watched Anthony Rizzo at all, he hardly ever takes the ball himself. The last 4 or 5 years, he always flips it to the pitcher. Garrett Cole's played with him for a long time. He's got to know that. For some reason, I have no idea why he didn't make it to first base, and it cost him the game, cost him the season.
Will, from your perspective, though, I mean, he's about 15 feet here. Look, I mean, that's not that far away from the bag. Pick up the ground ball and run to first.
Right. Yeah, it's like they both froze. They both relied on each other. You could tell by the way Rizzo picked up the ball and turned his body. He was expecting to flip it. And Cole stopped thinking, okay, he's close to the bag, just like you just said. He's going to take it to the bag. They were both at that in-between stage, and they both looked at each other and went, you got it. And nobody had it.
Bobby, they went from having a chance to get out of the inning with no runs across the board to 5 runs across the board. What did you think of that play at first? Because you heard what Will said.
Yeah, well, he's got to get over it. There's no doubt about that. Dave said it. Will said it. That ball had spin on it. I think that's the big key. I think Cole saw the ball off the bat, thought Riz was going to catch it going toward the base and just continue on to the base, but he had to stop because the ball went back toward the infield. He caught it with his glove hand and then was looking to flip it. It was too late by the time he looked up, and that cost him everything. But I don't understand for the life of me why that happened, and then a base hit happened, and he's backing up bases, why there wasn't a trip to the mound by the infielders or the coaches to give him a breather. This is a guy who's pitching his heart out. He's backing up bases. He's frustrated about not covering the base. He had to be able to turn the page there. He didn't turn the page. Consequently, 5 runs scored.
Well, in fact, Cole ended up going another inning and 2/3, which was huge if the Yankees had been able to pull out this game, which was amazing that Cole could do that.
Spectacular.
But one of the things that I was thinking during the game is spring training, which seems so long ago. You're working on the backfields. There's no cameras. There's only a few fans seeking autographs. You're working on fundamentals, base running, PIP. You're doing things that the players can't stand doing, management can't stand. And here we are in the World Series, and Will Middlebrooks gives it to you straight. When you don't pay attention to the little things, it can cost you. And we knew this was the Yankees' problem. You can't fix it during a World Series, and the Dodgers were not going to let that pass. They took advantage, and they've got the ring, and the Yankees go another year ringless.
Start spreading the news. You can't play bad news Bears baseball. You cannot do that at all, because you saw the Yankees, though, show life, right? They come back. They take the lead on a Giancarlo Stanton sac fly to give them a 6-5 lead. But then it's the top of the 8th. Tommy Kahnle comes in and does not do his job. He loads the bases, and then you have to go to Luke Weaver. And it's just, this is unacceptable at this level, Bobby. You have to have a guy come in and do something in the 8th inning when you just worked so hard to get the lead.
Yeah, Booney had a plan on how to use his bullpen pitchers, and Kahnle was a big part of that. He didn't pitch last night. He was going to give him an inning. Weaver was going to be able to come in and wipe the slate clean. It didn't happen. Weaver had to come in. And while we're talking about the use of the bullpen, what a spectacular job Dave Roberts did. His starter's out of the game in the 2nd inning, and in his back pocket, he has Walter Buehler. No one knows that he's coming into the game. No one knows he's in the bullpen, and he makes it a perfect transition to the 9th inning for a world championship. Good job, Dave Roberts.
Yeah, I mean, we were questioning all, like, who's going to pitch? Who do you have left? And Will, they go to Walker Buehler, who was coming off his 2nd Tommy John this year. And in his last 2 starts, he was scoreless. He won game 3 and then locks it down for you in the 9th. Talk about the performance by Walker Buehler, who's going to be a free agent this offseason.
I mean, you got to be so happy for this guy, right? The physical journey he's been through, the mental journey, emotional. What did you go through rehabbing for years and years on end? 2 Tommy Johns. He finally made it back this year. He had the hip issue, missed more time, couldn't really find his stuff until he got to the postseason, which was the most important time. And, you know, you said it. Hats off to Dave Roberts, Bobby. You nailed that, because, and you know, you heard throughout the year Dave Roberts is on the hot seat and this and that. I thought this was by far his best managerial year with all the injuries they had to withstand to that pitching staff. They had 8 starting pitchers hurt, if you count Shohei Ohtani. And yet here they are holding the trophy at the end of the year. It's pretty special what they did, that front office did. We can get into that later with what they did at the trade deadline and how important those pieces were to this World Series winning team.
Well, Aaron Judge hit his first World Series home run. We thought, okay, he's busting out. Jazz Chisholm goes back-to-back. Then we get a 4-0 lead on Alex Verdugo's RBI single, who was fantastic for the Yankees all series long. Then you get Giancarlo Stanton. It hit his solo home run, tied with Mickey Mantle. It just, everything felt like it was coming together for the Yankees to force a Game 6 because no team down 0-3 in a World Series had ever come back to force a Game 6. We're thinking, okay, they're going to go back to L.A., and then that 5th inning comes, and it unravels. That 8th inning, then for the Dodgers, they just play small ball. Get him on, get him over, get him in. 2 sac flies, and they take the lead, David. It's that quick.
I think it's so important when you think about the 2 innings where all the activity happened. You're looking at the 5th, and you see what the Yankees did to implode, and then you look at the professional at-bats that the Dodgers got themselves when they took the lead. And you think about Dave Roberts and what he did with those arms. In 2020, he clinching game. You've got the starter Urias on the mound making the final out. You know that Buehler's the Game 7 pitcher, but you can picture Andrew Freeman saying to Dave Roberts before the game, Game 7, forget it. Let's get it in Game 5 or Game 6. We don't need a Game 7. So you've realized, and Bobby V in the room is realizing Buehler's around, but you can't believe you're going to get that many innings because what we don't remember is Jack Flaherty was horrific in this game. He was not throwing any of his pitches for strikes. Judge and Chisholm go back-to-back that was 8 hours ago, and they take a 3-0 lead, game over. They add on, it's 5-0, and you figure game's over because the Yankees don't lose when Judge and Stanton homer in the same game, like 45-5. But then again, you don't make those type of mistakes and try to win a game.
Well, this World Series started with a bang when Freddie Freeman hit the first walk-off grand slam in World Series history. It ends with a absolute bonkers dramatic game in Game 5, and Freddie Freeman named World Series MVP. What he did in this series: first walk-off grand slam in World Series history, first player with a homer in games 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the World Series, 6 straight games with a homer in the World Series. Bobby, this was a guy that was hobbled at the end of the regular season, and he comes out here looking like Kirk Gibson.
Yeah, Kirk Gibson playing every day and playing 9 innings and beating out ground balls to first and hitting home runs. He did what Shohei Ohtani was supposed to do. Shohei did nothing, and when you think about that, he did absolutely nothing, and the Dodgers still won this series.
2 for 19.
Is unbelievable. 2 hits for 19. Now, he helped get him there.
Yep,
he was real hot coming in. He got a lot of RBIs, but, you know, with the injury and everything else, it was a very disappointing series for him, but Freddie Freeman picked up the slack, plus.
Think about what Shohei Ohtani did. Remember when this season started? All of the issues with the interpreter, with the gambling. He had never had a postseason at-bat. Now, a few months later, Shohei Ohtani has his first ring in his first year of that massive 10-year deal with the Dodgers, who are only paying him $2 million this year. They'll pay him $68 10 years from now, and they get a ring, the second ring since 2020, the first in a full season, and they still got years of Freddie and Shohei, and next year, they're going to have healthy starting pitching again. If you're the Yankees, you're despondent beyond repair because you look out across the dugout and you were beaten by a better team, start to finish, man 1 to man 26.
Will, what can you say about Freddie Freeman? Because here's a guy that has dealt with so many trials with his family. 10 years old, loses his mother to melanoma. That's why he wears sleeves all the time. Night game doesn't matter if it's hot, whatever. His father, at 12 years old, when he's 12, has congestive heart failure, gets him to the hospital to make sure that he's okay, because had he gone to sleep that night, doctors said he would have died that night. He's dealing with a health scare with his son. He's banged up at the end of the regular season, and he turns in one of the greatest World Series performances of all time. What can you say about Freddie Freeman?
Well, I think we forget these guys are human beings, right? And they go through real life stuff. And all of a sudden, all these big moments in the postseason, these big at-bats and playing through injuries aren't that big of a deal to some people because they've been through a lot more. As happy as I was to see Walker Buehler do what he did, even happier for Freddie Freeman for everything you just stated, for what he did playing hurt this year for his teammates or in the postseason, grinding through that. You know, there's different types of leaders in a clubhouse. There's vocal, and then there's guys who lead by example. And Freddie Freeman, I think he's a little bit of both. But what he did in the postseason this year, dragging that ankle, dragging that foot along, and finding a way to post, even though he couldn't even hit a ball out of the infield because he couldn't hit against his front side, gets those 5 days off, gets healthy, and then the show was on once the World Series got here.
Freddie Freeman. Freeman, World Series MVP as the Dodgers win the World Series, their 8th in franchise history. Heck of a run from all of you. Wow. What a World Series this was for Freddie Freeman. And take a look what he did in the 2020s, and we're far from over. 2020, NL MVP. 2021, won the World Series with the Braves. Comes over to the Dodgers, leads baseball in hits in 2022. 2023, a Dodger record 59 doubles. And here in 2024, World Series MVP. Freddie Freeman, the 2020s belong to Freddie.